All right, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just want to show you guys how to use Propstream. And what I've done is I've partnered up with Propstream to kind of just show you some of their features. And what I have is one of their experts on here, Burton, who's going to kind of take you a little behind the scenes and kind of show you guys how everything works. Hey, Burton.
What's going on, Terrence? Thanks for having me, man. I'm really honored to be here and show everybody what I know about Propstream. So can't thank you enough, man.
Hey, appreciate your time, taking the time with me. What I want to do is let's start out with the first step, because at the end of the day, if someone's trying to get into the business of wholesaling, first things first is how do we find a seller's list?
That's genius. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And for those that don't know, again, with Terrence's link, you guys are going to get a discount. It's $97 a month. You'll get a 7-day trial. So you can follow along. So if you want to go ahead and click on the link, get your username and password going, and then follow along. But remember, we're nationwide. And you can search a county, a city, or a zip code, or even use our draw search feature when you're pulling up your market to build a seller's list. So right now, we're going to actually go into Fulton County. Terrence, correct me if I'm wrong, that's your market, right? Why?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure
I've
you're
been right in the middle.
nationwide, but I mean, we'll zoom into this market for now. But when you guys pull up a market, here's what you should be aware of. We're not going to show you all the addresses in that market because there's millions of parcels and properties in Fulton County. Rather, what we're showing you are addresses that are on one of 19 lists that we have. And above the map, you're going to see the first 8 categories, right? So the properties that are on the MLS, the properties in pre-foreclosures, auctions and foreclosures and cash bought properties, et cetera, et cetera. But make it a best practice to just get familiar with our filter. It's just to the right of the search box. Click on filter. You'll get our search option box. And here there are pretty much 3 areas you should be aware of. The filters on the left-hand side where there's over 120. This will let you control whether the property is owner occupied, whether they're answering their mail or vacant, property characteristics, MLS filters, pre-foreclosure filters. Like I'm running out of area here. There's a lot of filters that we have. The second area is our quick list choices, where you'll see one of our 19 options to choose from, right? So again, on the main page, you had 8. In our search filter, those 8 are the first 8, and then you have the other 11 to go with them, from free and clear all the way down to our deceased owner pre-probate list. And then the third area is just your summary box. So as you choose pre-foreclosures that are, for example, non-owner occupied, your summary box will tell you what you're building. And if you ever change your mind along the way, instead of going back to this area, you can just hit the X's as you're highlighting your summary. Now, you're here to wholesale, you're here to fix and flip. What are the best practices when it comes to building a list? I'm going to give you the 4 best practices you need to be focusing on. Step 1 is pick a list. Now we have 19 categories to choose from. There's no right or wrong list, but there are lists that indicate some financial distress, like a pre-foreclosure or a person with a lien or a tax delinquent property, or a tired landlord, someone who's owned the property for 15 years, they don't even live in the house, right? Because owning a property, dealing with renters, that could be a headache over time. Now, is a cash buyer a financially distressed list? No, I mean, these guys are buying properties and houses. And if you saw a cash buyer buy a house for $100,000, you think he's going to sell you that $100,000 house for $70,000?
Not likely.
No, right? Not likely. Exactly, Terrence. So guys, you have to understand, even though we have 19 categories, some of them are going to have higher degrees of motivation while others are for other purposes. So step 1, pick a list with that level of degree of motivation. Now, if you're like, hey, we want to work quick, we want to get these houses as soon as possible, then you could go after the pre-foreclosures, you can go after the auctions, but be warned, you're going to be on limited time. A lot of people are going to go after them as well. If you're trying to not go into the competition den, or maybe you need more time to work with these homeowners, consider maybe a delinquent property. Usually it takes a year to 3 years to go to an auction sale, or maybe a failed listing, someone who wanted to sell but couldn't get the price that they wanted, right? So understand different levels of motivation, but you do need to choose a list. That's step 1. We'll start with tax delinquency today. Now, 65,000 properties in Fulton County are tax delinquent. That's a lot. We're not going to go knock on all of their doors. It is a big list, and we're not going to knock on every door. We're going to run out of time here. It will probably be dead by the time in terms of age if we were ever to do that. So here's what we're going to do. There are 3 other practices after you pick your first list. Step 2, most important step, I would say, out of the bunch, is going to our MLS status and making sure they're off market. So on market, no, we want to make sure these properties are not listed with the realtor. And here's a little cherry on top I want to share with you. If you go to MLS status, this drop-down menu, we've included a never listed option. So we'll even go through the results and make sure these properties haven't been on the MLS in the last 6-7 years.
Oh,
So
that's
very
cool.
great benefit there. Why? Because that gives you first exposure technically. But that's your second step. MLS status, on market, no. MLS status, never listed. Third step, because you're wholesaling, because you're fixing flipping, you need to have equity, right? If you bump into someone whose house is worth $100,000, but they owe the bank $150,000, there's no equity to assign, right? Now, as you get better, there are strategies for that. But for now, if you are wholesaling and fixing flipping, go to our valuation and equity info section and make sure you apply that estimated equity percentage. So if you need a lot of equity, maybe you're looking for someone who's paid off up to 70% of their loan, then 70% in equity minimum is what you're looking for. As for those of you that don't know, equity is the difference between what you owe on the property and what that house could sell for, right? Or its market value. That difference in between is your equity. I like to think of it as how much have they paid off? I want someone who's paid off about 70% of their loan or more in this case. Here's some honorable mentions. Estimated value, right? If you're not trying to flip a mansion, let us know. Hey, I need these properties to be valued under $500,000, for example. Rental values can be in there if you're, again, a fix and flipper, you're looking to rent this out later on, or you're going to do a buy and hold strategy. Rental value is also a very powerful filter here. But
And actually, as a
the most
quick
important
side
one
note,
is
that's actually
equity.
very important right there. So just a quick side note, that's just very important because when you're talking about, especially as somebody who's new to the game or just learning how to get into wholesaling, last thing you want to be, you want the low-lying fruit. I don't necessarily the fruit that's laying on the ground, but the low-lying fruit. So you know, you want to be kind of hanging like, so you don't want the ones that's hanging highest up in the tree. You got to work the hardest to get to them. And so when you're talking about trying to wholesale $1 million home, that can absolutely be a real problem for someone who's just getting into the game of wholesaling or that kind of thing. And then, so yeah, that's actually just a great point. Just wanted to point out there. So yeah, definitely start with some of the
No,
low
you nailed
fruit
it on
there.
the head. I mean, not that you can't wholesale a mansion or apartment complex. I hope you
Absolutely.
guys do, but very rare scenario. And again, you're going to gradually get there. But as Terrence is saying, you know, one of the best practices is just saying, hey, I want to be in this buy box and focus there. So step one was the list. Step two is making sure it was off market, never listed. 3, we just added the equity we need and the estimated value range we're looking for. Step 4 is the property characteristics and ownership info. I always tell our users, the list you're building is the list that's going to come after you, right? Or call you back. What type of properties and owners do you want calling you back? So property characteristics, this will let you choose residential, commercial, vacant land. For most of us, we'll probably be in the residential space. Now, residential space is a huge bubble. Condominiums, duplexes, triplexes, apartment complexes. If you don't need all of that, go to the property type and let us know what exactly you're looking for. So maybe you're looking for just those single families and duplexes. You can choose more than one if you'd like. Now, as you choose your property class and property type, here are some other honorable mentions. Beds and bathrooms. Again, maybe you're not dealing with a 7-bedroom property. So you're looking for that property that has no more than maybe 4 bedrooms max. Year built is another honorable mention, right? If you're a fix and flipper, maybe you don't want a house that was just built in 2020, because what are you going to fix and flip? The washer and dryer, right? So maybe you're looking for something that's not too old, not too new. So maybe between the years of 1980 and 2010, for example. Another honorable mention for those fix and flippers is because we collect HOA data, you could tell us whether you want an HOA or not in this area. So, hey, I don't want the HOA, so exclude all of them. Why? Because I'm going to paint this house bright yellow once I'm done with it. So property characteristics, the most important ones are class and property type, but honorable mentions are your beds, year built, HOA, include or excluded. Now to wrap up, step 4, that's the ownership info. Okay, so recap: lists, off market, equity, property, and owner characteristics. So we just did property characteristics, owner characteristics. Remember, the list you're marketing to is the list that's going to call you back. So if I market to this list of 1,400 properties, hopefully 1,400 people are going to call me back, but there might be corporations and trusts and individuals in there. Maybe I don't want all of that. Maybe I just want the individuals. So owner type, this is very important. You get to control who's calling you back. In this case, I just want the individuals only calling me back, because that's the list I'm going to market to, a list of all individuals, and hopefully individuals are going to call me back. Oh, and here's something to also be warned about. Always apply years of ownership. Very important thing that people forget. Propstream collects a lot of data, which also means we collect the house that was just bought last month. And so you always want to add years of ownership. Here's a perfect example. We have three properties that were bought in year 2021. I know it's only been 2 years, but they could have been new homeowners that just forgot to pay their taxes, right? So excited to own this property. Hey, I forgot to pay my taxes. I didn't know I had to make a separate payment. Happens all the time. So here, we're going to change the story a little bit. We want someone who's lived in their house a minimum 10 years, because for the last 10 years, you know you need to pay your taxes. You can't tell me you just bought your house and forgot to pay your taxes, right?
Absolutely.
So here you guys go. This is your best 4 practices, or the best 4 steps that you should take. Lists, make sure there's a level of motivation. Off market, that way you're not dealing with realtors, you get direct to seller. Equity, that way you can perform your exit strategy, wholesale or fix and flip it. And then 4, your property and owner characteristics. And if you do them just right, your summary will be here to confirm that. You can now hit close, and what started with hundreds of thousands of properties are now 601 highly targeted off-market properties with the right equity and property characteristics that you need. And that's how you're going to build your first sellers list, guys.
That is awesome. That is awesome. That is definitely great for our beginners. So, and then even some of our seasoned guys, because to be honest with you, just because you've been doing it a while doesn't mean you've probably been doing it the right way. So at the end of the day, this is just good. This is a good tool, good information out there, just so you can get started, or for those who have been doing it a while, and help you refine. Because at the end of the day, as investors, we should always be looking to continue to learn and refine our craft, because this is a craft that we're doing. So you got to always be ready to refine that craft, to learn. If we've been doing it this way, maybe it hasn't always worked the right way. Let's try something different, and let's see what we can get out of that.
Absolutely. Terrence, thank you again for having me. But guys, good luck. This is how you're going to build your first sellers list.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, and actually, let's do this with, tell them what they're going to get with their, if they join on with our with using my code there, and reach out to me, get that code. But they reach out to me for that code and they decide they want to join Propstream, tell them what they're going to get with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Remember to click on the link down below. It's going to give you a 7-day trial and a discounted price. So it's going to be $97 a month. There's no yearly contract. So if you need it for 2 months and need to pause and work on your list, we totally get it. But again, it's $97 a month. You'll get 10,000 records to save and export every single month. And you'll have unlimited property information, meaning, once you are getting these phone calls back, you'll be able to search a property and look at all the details on that property. Again, $97 a month.
All right. I appreciate that. Appreciate the time there today, Burton. That'll be a wrap for us. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having.
Have a good one.